The following is a presentation of the Belly Up Sports Media Network.
Welcome back to Haymaker Combat Sports, powered by the Belly Up Sports Media Network. I'm your host, EJ Reed, and this is a Quickie episode. I figure I put out some content because we don't want to be out of sight, out of mind, and we weren't here last week, and there was a live event this past weekend, UFC Denver, so I figured I'd throw something out there and recap what happened this past weekend. And like I said, they were out there in Denver last weekend. This was headlined by Rose Namajunas versus Tracy Cortez in the flyweight division. And some changes happened to this card. It's supposed to be Rose Namajunas versus our girl, Macy Barber, the future. And Macy Barber had to drop out because of health purposes. So Tracy Cortez moved her fight up from a week earlier. She's supposed to have a fight this coming up weekend on this Apex card. She's supposed to face Miranda Maverick, and she stepped up and faced Rose Namajunas. So hats off for her for doing that. And yeah, like on these Quickie episodes, we'll start with the main event and make our way back on the card. So in that first round, Rose looked crisp on the feet, and less than 2 minutes in the round, Rose dropped her with that left hook. And Cortez did a good job of recovering and stayed competitive, but Rose was the more accurate and active fighter in the first round. And round two started off pretty evenly. And about halfway through the round, Cortez got a takedown momentarily, and Rose got back up pretty quickly. Rose got that takedown late in the round, so kind of a toss-up round. And round three, both ladies came out swinging, but Rose was able to get the grappling exchange. Cortez was able to get back up for a second, but Rose got her back down. Rose threatened that submission a couple of times, and Rose got that front kick towards the end of the round after Cortez got back up. But this was a pretty dominant round for Rose. And moving on to round four, Rose was able to get the takedown a few minutes into the round, but Cortez did a good job of getting up pretty quickly. And Rose did a good job of landing those shots from the outside for the remainder of the round. But Cortez showed a little life with that late takedown towards the end of the round. And round five, both ladies came out swinging for the fences, but Cortez went for the clinch. And about halfway through the round, Rose got another takedown, but Cortez popped up again quickly. Cortez then begged for Rose to stand and trade and landed some pretty good shots, but just a little bit too late, and Rose pretty much cruised to victory. And it wasn't a boring fight, but it was pretty much a sparring session. You know, Rose showed that she has a lot of tools in the bag, and she mixed it up with the takedowns and the striking. So hats off to Rose for, you know, getting the job done and doing what she needed to do. And this was a last minute opponent switch too, so you got to take that into consideration. And shout out to Cortez for sticking in there and being tough. But where do we go with Rose from here? Because I feel like when she went up to 125 at flyweight, she doesn't quite have that pop like she did at strawweight, because we saw her finish a lot of girls back at strawweight, able to get them out with her ground and pound and her kicks. But going up a weight class, she doesn't quite have that pop. So I think what we should do with her next is just, you know, put back that fight she's supposed to have on with Macy Barber and just stay the course, because I don't think she should jump up and face the champ, Alexa Grasso or Valentina, like a contenders fight. Those girls might be a little bit too powerful for her at this moment. So I would like to see her have one more test before she tests herself with either one of those women. But like I said, it's a good win for her. So shout out to Rose Namajunas, and we'll see what they do with her next. But let's jump to this co-main event on this one. In the welterweight division, we had Muslim Salikov defeating Santiago Ponzinibbio by split decision. And not a whole lot going on in the first round, but I think Ponzinibbio was the busier fighter, pressing forward for most of the round. Uh, Solikov did catch Ponzinibbio with a hard right hand with about a minute left, but I don't think that was enough to steal him around. I think round 2 was a hard one to judge. Solikov did his best job of trying to make it a dogfight. He landed some hard punches and some hard kicks, but Ponzinibbio was landing shots too and was able to get a takedown towards the end of the round. So I think the round was a toss-up as well. And round 3 wasn't the most exciting round. Not a whole lot of action from either guy, but I think Ponzinibbio was able to steal the third round with some late grappling, but the judges didn't agree with me, and they gave it to Solikov. I'm not mad at the judge's decision because neither guy did anything to distinguish themselves being a clear-cut winner. So I thought Ponzinibbio snuck out the win, but I'm not mad because if either guy didn't want to go to the judge's decision, they should have did a better job of being decisive, and trying to convince the judges that they won. So, hey, shout out to Solikov for getting the win. Wins aren't easy to come by in this sport, so you got to take them when you can. But let's talk about this next fight, which was a really exciting banger. In the welterweight division, we had, in the lightweight division, we had John Silva versus Drew Dober. And this was a last-minute replacement fight because John Silva just fought 2 weeks ago at UFC 303 because it's supposed to be Drew Dober versus Mike Davis, but Mike Davis dropped out, and John Silva got that knockout at 303. So this was a quick turnaround for him, and he defeated Drew Dober by TKO doctor stoppage in the third round. And early on in this fight, in the first round, it was hard to judge because Silva was the more elusive, faster striker. But Drew Dober was able to calm the storm. And later on in that first round, John Silva was able to get some striking, and also he was able to fend off Drew Dober's attacks. And no guy was able to decisively win that round, in my opinion, because like I said, Silva was a more elusive, faster striker, but Dober seemed like the more powerful striker. And then early on in the second round, Silva looked over to Dober's corner, and Dober caught Silva with a punch. And later on in that round, was able to get some good dirty boxing. He also caught Silva with a nice Superman punch, something we don't see a lot. And Silva was able to get some good counter striking too. And about 5 seconds left, Silva landed that big spinning elbow, and that kind of changed the trajectory of the fight. And then he followed up with some strikes that hurt Dober. Dober had a nasty cut over that eye that was opened up pretty wide. And about a minute in the third round, Silva landed another nasty spinning elbow, and the blood continued to pour from that eye. And Herb Dean stepped in, and then the doctor came over and stopped it. But this was like a all-out drag-out war, and I actually want to go back and watch that again because it was a pretty exciting fight. But hey, John Silva, a quick turnaround, was able to get 2 wins in a row in a 2-week span. So you got to take your hat off for anybody that's tough like that. So I'm excited to see what fight he gets next because it was a catchweight fight. I'm not sure who missed weight in that fight, but it was a catchweight fight he had at 303, and this one was at lightweight. So if he goes back to featherweight, you'd like to see, if he was the one to miss weight, you'd like to see that get handled, and let's see what he does next. But let's go to the next fight now on the card. In the welterweight division, we had Gabriel Bonfim defeating Ange Losa in a unanimous decision. So early on, Losa went to the wrestling, and Bonfim was able to fend off Losa's takedown and got some Muay Thai clinch knees, but Losa was able to weather that storm and get another takedown. This round was really close and could have went either way on the judges' cards. So, like I said, you want to be out there and be more decisive, but he's a high-level fighter, so you only can do what you can do. And Bonfim was the better striker, but Losa's ground game kind of canceled the striking out. Second round, I think Bonfim was able to edge out Losa just because he was the more crisp with his striking. And he got that takedown with a couple seconds left. And then that third round, Bonfim was able to find his rhythm and was completely picking him apart from the outside. Not too exciting of a fight, but Bonfim did what he needed to do to get the job done. And moving on, in the featherweight division, we had Julian Erosa defeating Christian Rodriguez. And round one, right out the gate, both guys were swinging for the fences, and Rodriguez caught Erosa with a head kick that stunned him. Erosa caught Rodriguez's kick and got the trip with about a minute left, though, in that round. And then Rodriguez was able to reverse it, but once he got reversed, Erosa was able to sink that guillotine in and choke him out, all happened in the first round. And this was a beautiful display of grappling. And, Erosa, I've seen him fight in the past, but now he's a little bit more on my radar. It's always big to get a win on a live event when more eyes are watching him, which you are at the Performance Center down at the Apex. So shout out to Erosa for getting the job done. And moving on to the curtain jerker in this one, we had in the middleweight division, Abdul Rasik Al-Hassan versus Cody Brundage in a no contest, which you don't like to see. And round one, right away, Brundage tried to take down Al-Hassan, but Al-Hassan took and dropped him with the elbow coming in, and Al-Hassan tried to finish the job up with some elbows, but he accidentally caught Brundage on the back of the head, which makes the referee pause it. After doctors checked on Brundage, they felt like he wasn't able to continue, that he was a little bit loopy and out of it, and the fight was called a no contest. And like I said, you hate to see this happen, but things happen when you're in the line of fire and you're in the moment. So I don't think Al-Hassan did it on purpose. But like I said, he was just trying to get him out there. It was just a little bit wild with his elbows, and they called it a no contest. But I'm glad that the referee saw that he didn't try to do it on purpose, and they didn't call it a DQ. They just called it a no contest. So maybe down the line they can go ahead and reschedule this fight. But as far as the main card goes, overall it was decent. You had a couple of finishes in there, a TKO by Dr. Stoppage and a submission, and it's not a card that I would go back and rewatch. I would definitely go back and watch that John Silva and Drew Dober fight, but other than that, it's not a card that has a lot of replay value. But they've been going out more in these live events, and you like to see that happen. But some other notable things happened with the prelims. In the flyweight division, you had Charles Johnson with the comeback win over Josh Van. And I think he was down on the scorecards, and he came out like a man on fire in that third round and caught him with a nice lunging uppercut and was able to get him out there with some ground and pound. So that was pretty exciting. And Montel Jackson, he hadn't really been on my radar before this, but he KO'd Damon Blackshear probably like 20 seconds into the fight. It was crazy. And Dominic Cruz called it. He was like, watch out for those punches straight down the middle. And lo and behold, I think he caught him with that straight left, and it was lights out for him. So that was exciting as well. And then he also had Lorena Santos defeating Miria Agapova by submission, that rear naked choke, but she showed some pretty good grappling. And then you had Evan Elder defeating Darius Flowers by submission, that arm triangle choke. And with this one, Elder accidentally kicked Flowers in the balls, and you could tell Flowers was gassed because the elevation in Denver. So he took all the time he needed, and you could tell he was stalling. But at the end of the day, you got to fight. All that stalling didn't help. He still got choked. So I thought that was pretty funny. But like I said, overall it was a pretty decent card. But like I said, I don't know if I'll go back and rewatch that. But yeah, like I said, I just wanted to jump on here and talk a little UFC. And next week we got UFC 304 over there in London. So we'll be back to preview and predict that. I have the gang with me. I have Steve and Anmeyer. But if y'all remember, go check these out. The video will be exclusively on the Belly Up Sports YouTube page, and the audio will be on all major audio platforms. Go check it out on Spotify, also Apple, the usual. So make sure to check this out. But like I said, we'll be back next week to do the pay-per-view preview. So until next time, be safe out there. Later.